Aloha, and thanks for tuning in. You may have noticed I am not in the pilot seating area right now, and you may have also noticed there's no pilot seat right now. I've had a lot of issues with my rudder pedals. They're just getting old. These Loogitech pedals, which are up here, are about 6 years old now. These are just the Loogitech pedals. I've got the 3D printed parts on them that allow for the toe brake, more GA style. They've been great pedals. They've lasted quite a while. Every now and again they just act a little hokey, and I want better pedals, and that's the focus of this video, because what I didn't realize when I was going to update my pedals was how limited I was in my choices. Yes, so when you actually tie yourself to a physical shell, you're dealing with the physical dimensions that are similar to the real aircraft. So at 42 inches in width, well, now you're down to half of that and less. Half of that plus subtract the length of your center panel gives you what you can really use width-wise as a rudder pedal. And I looked out there, I looked at the Wind Wing pedals, which I really think look great, the Skywalker Slant Orion pedals. They're over 20 inches wide. And if you watch videos, you'll notice how far apart people's feet are in those videos when they're using those pedals. They don't fit in here. I thought about ordering them, they just don't fit. The Virpil pedals, same thing. The Virpil pedals are too wide for my setup. Then I looked at the Thrustmaster pendular setup. Well, the center area of that would be fine for in here, but then when you actually add the rudder pedals on the sides off of the pendulum area, it gets to be, wait for it, too wide. So that really limited me on what I could do. Now my first option, obviously, is to just buy another set of these, you know, go with another Thrustmaster set. And I thought about it for about maybe 15 minutes, and I decided against it. I broke out an old set of rudder pedals, thinking maybe I'd get lucky. Maybe these guys are going to be good again. And you'll see they're dusty and old. I've had these pedals for roughly 4 years now. They were on another flight sim setup I had. What I'm not a fan of is, you see the bounciness there? Not a fan of it. What I am a fan of, though, on these, besides the price, these are the most inexpensive rudder pedals I've found, is the fact that people out there have actually gone through and designed add-on parts for these pedals, which is awesome. And you don't need to modify them that much. You literally pop out a couple screws, slap on some 3D printed parts, pop the screws in, and you're done. And you now have this. And you can see, for this here, a lot of functionality in these pedals, and it moves the feet a little wider, right? So your feet aren't super side by side. There's actually a little space now. I like the little bit of space. But I don't like the springiness and the bounciness. So my search continued. And my limitation was the width that I mentioned previously. I have a tape measure right here, and we're talking roughly about 18 inches wide, 18 and a half or so. So I needed something to come under 18 inches wide, but still be an improvement over my Logitech pedals. Well, it seems easier said than done. So then I looked for these. Now, my first set of these showed up, and they weren't them. Sounds a little weird. I ordered these online. The box that showed up actually had the Turtle Beach yoke in it, not the Turtle Beach rudder pedals. So I sent the yoke back, and I got these. So it took a little while longer than I wanted. Now the beauty of these is they're 14 inches wide at their minimum setting. But notice I said minimum setting because you can change the width. They go out to 18 inches, which would still fit in here, but they come down to 14. So you have 4 inches of expansion laterally, which is nice. And it's super easy to do right here. Push in on these gray pieces, and you're done. Another awesome feature of these is they are configurable. On the angle of the pedal, there's a little tab you pull up, change pedal. The other great part of this is on the pedal itself, pull it back all the way, there is a a bolt right here, and you'll undo the bolt. You'll pull out the bottom part, which it normally comes in the commercial configuration. You pop out the heel piece, you put in the GA piece for general aviation, and boom, you now have rudder pedals that are more useful in my Cessna setup. Very simple, took a few seconds. There's also a spring adjustment on the back, and it comes with replacement springs. I like the springs that are in there for right now. Another great thing for me is going to be that I can hard mount these right here, and down here as well. There are holes that I can just literally put screws in and anchor this down to the platform, which is 2x4s and plywood underneath the carpet. So I can anchor this straight to that, and it is not going to move. The only drawback to these that I've thought of that I don't think will be a drawback is the length. Now these things from the bottom up are about 19 inches long. Now in my setup, from the bulkhead to the front of my center panel is about 19.5 inches or so. So these will come out right to the edge of that. It may end up coming a little further because I want to make sure that I have plenty of space in the back for the USB connector. But it's going to come right to the front. And I'm going to have my feet here anyways, so it's not going to be a huge issue. I think these are going to work well for me. And the next video will be me flying with the Turtle Beach Velocity 1 pedals swapped out and in place of my Loogitech pedals. So at that point, I have nobody to blame but myself for bad taxiing. But I think these are going to help quite a bit. So I'm going to turn the camera off here in a second. I'm going to dismantle my setup. I'm going to put these in, and I'm going to do a flight, and we'll see how that goes, and I will post that later. But if you're out there and you do have a setup like mine, where you're limited by physical constraints of the actual cockpits, you don't have the choices that a lot of their flight simmers do, right? You don't get the wind wing. You can't have the Verpal. That Thrustmaster pendulum is just not really an option for you unless you alter your cockpit and change the dimensions, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of building the shell in the first place. So just a little public service announcement, if you will. I hadn't thought of this when I was looking for pedals, and I really wanted the wind wing pedals. I may get them for another cockpit I'm setting up. We'll see how that goes. But I wanted to throw that out there. So if anybody out there is starting down this path, wave off. But if you are starting down this path like I did, you know, there's things to think about, and your choices are not unlimited, unfortunately. But I hope this helps somebody, you know. And as always, you know, questions, comments, concerns, throw them below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. And as always, happy flying out there.